So we're delighted to be joined by Jens from Colors Live. Guessing for you, Jens, because you've only got a few days to go now of the Kickstarter, it's really getting to the point now where things are getting exciting.
Yeah. It's the first and the last week is what I've learned about Kickstarter. This is my first one, so everything is new and exciting. But yeah, we got Friday midday is the end time, and we're gonna try to make the most of it.
Well, you've made the most of it so far, because it's incredible how much support you've had just in terms of the money. Because we know that Colors Live, we know that people love it because we've seen it before. But did you expect to get so much support?
I had no idea what to expect, really. We have a fairly sizable community still from the Nintendo 3DS version, but that's in a very different area, and trying to get that into Kickstarter and how that would translate, we honestly didn't know if it would be a hit or a miss, but it looks really good, so we're super excited.
Yeah, I never know quite the way to go with Kickstarters, because a lot of it is in that initial first impression when people, especially for people that aren't already fans of you in the community and what Colors Live is doing. But for people that are coming to Kickstarter for the first time, a lot of it is on that video, and trying to cram in everything that you're about in a short video, that's not an easy thing to do.
No, and it's hard. And, that video also had, me talking into the camera, because that's apparently how you're supposed to do a Kickstarter. And I'm not sure how comfortable I am with that kind of stuff. But it turned out okay, I think.
It's great. I think you're right. I still have this issue with cameras. Like even when we film, these snippets for the podcast, and I've done interviews for years and years. And doing audio is one thing, and being in the room with someone is great. But as soon as you have a camera, suddenly I'm thinking about things more, and I feel the pressure. So I completely empathize with that sort of feeling, as you're heading to the camera. But listen, it's worked, and you've got 97,000 as we're talking right now. £97,563 of your £12,897 goal, obviously converting it for UK pounds, 2,023 backers, but still 4 days to go. And I'm guessing the more, the thing about Kickstarter is obviously, the more money that you get in there, the more you can do.
Yeah, totally. And we started, fairly small in terms of what this project would be. I just wanted to get it out there on the Switch. But now that I know that there's a lot of people looking for it, and we can start thinking bigger, and I'm really looking forward to just get it out there and start building. This time around we are doing it much more in collaboration with the community. We have our own Discord thing set up, and also it's easier actually this time around. The Nintendo eShop was the first. The 3DS eShop was the first digital store for Nintendo, and it was a long, hard road to get something on that store. It's much more streamlined this time around. The tools are better. So I really hope to be able to have this as a living, breathing kind of product. And this is, really fun for a developer to be in the midst of, allow the community to be part of the development and have something much more live.
I want to ask you about your background, because it's quite a niche area, I guess, because it's gaming. It's gaming in an amazing way. Because I think back to growing up and things like Mario Paint and things like that, where you had interactions with art and video games. But for me, I'm a terrible artist, but I love drawing, and I'm colorblind for a start, which is a terrible start. So is Alistair, actually.
It's not a good place to be, is it?
It's not. But
cover the colors for both of us.
Exactly. But this really appeals because it feels so interactive. It feels like you can go on there and make mistakes, and it's not about making mistakes. It's just about the creative thing. But how did you get into this position? I know it's been 13 years since that you began this, and I'm sure you've been asked this before, but was it art? I'm guessing art played a big part in your life beforehand, or was it more the gaming side of it?
No, actually, art didn't play a role. That was why I got into it. So there's an origin story to this, actually. That's kind of cute. So I was my girlfriend, now wife, was turning 30 and I wanted to give her something special, so I got her a Wacom tablet, and she's an artist, like a fine artist, traditional artist, but I wanted to do something special. So at the time I was working at a AAA studio, Starbreeze Studios here in Sweden, and my friend, a concept artist called Mattias Snygg, I went to him and asked him, like, it looks really easy when you do it, when you are sitting there painting these amazing paintings, like, could I learn that? And basically he showed me this really simple way of doing digital art with a single brush, the color picker, and it's like, yeah, you can try, like, I can try to teach you. And he set me up with some simple tasks, and I fumbled around with the Wacom thing and sort of got the basics down, and did a portrait of my wife as part of the present. But that kind of iteration that I did there, like sort of learning that stuff, stuck with me. So 6 months later or something, I started playing with the Nintendo DS and wanted to do just something fun, trying stuff out. So I thought I would replicate that really simple brush and that technique. And that turned out to be like the first version of Colors. And at the same time, some homebrew people have figured out that there was a way to get pressure sensitivity out of the original Nintendo DS. So I plugged that in, and suddenly there was a very competent portable sketchbook there. That when I released it in like for free in the public forums, people loved it, and that's sort of, yeah, it became a passion project at this point and just grew.
I mean, I love the origin story. The only thing I'm not so sure about is the fact that you've now set the bar so high for all of us when it comes to gifts for our other halves that we're never going to be able to achieve that, because that is amazing. Let's talk about, I know Alistair's got a couple of questions about it as well, but I just want to ask before I pass over to Alistair about the pressure sensitive pen, because I love the fact that this plugs in. It plugs into the headphone jack, is that right? Is that how it works? Yeah. So cool.
It's really genius. It's a friend of mine in Hong Kong called Anton. He's running a company called Green Bulb, and he came up with this idea and contacted me a little bit more than a year back, asking me if I could do support for it on colors for smartphones. But I sort of realized that this would be the solution to how I could bring colors to the Switch, because the Switch doesn't have a stylus, and without the stylus it doesn't really make sense. But getting that pressure sensitivity there, that was sort of, that pushed it over the bar to have something that would be really cool. So anyway, it's super clever. You plug it into the audio jack, and it communicates with the Switch using that. So basically I play a tone in the game, and it goes into the pen, and on the tip of the pen there's a resistor that sort of dampens that sound depending on how much pressure I apply to the tip of the pen, and then that sound goes back into the Switch and I measure the volume of it. Wow. So basically it's like really simple electronic. There's no battery and there's no pairing, and I record the position of the pen just through the regular touchscreen, but the pressure comes through the headset. It emulates that headset.
Yeah, that is really simple and ingenious at the same time. I love that.
Yeah. And it works really well. Like I can't. It's kind of hard. A lot of people ask me, like, what, how many levels of pressure do you get? But because it goes through this kind of sound conversion, it's an analog thing. So, but the feel of it is super close to like professional drawing tablets.
So can I ask, which came first then? Was it the technology you thought, I could use this to bring colors to the Switch, or was it you wanting to make colors on the Switch and find a way to do it, or was it the community asking you to do it and you were just looking for a way to try and make it happen?
Well, it was basically all three of those. Like, as soon as the Switch was announced, a lot of the 3DS users was like, are we gonna see colors for it? And for me as a developer, you need to pick projects that you're gonna stay with for a while, because it takes so long to make games, especially for me. And doing colors for the Switch makes sense in every way, like financially and all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't I? But it needs to be a good product. Otherwise, what's the point? Why would I invest years of my life in doing something? Until Elton came with that idea about the pen to me, I wasn't planning on doing colors for the Switch. But that pen changed it.
Yeah. Well, the other question, it was kind of linked, but I just wondered who it was that was actually looking for this. So obviously you've got it on so many platforms in the past. It's on tablets and mobile phones and stuff. But clearly there's a desire from people to have it on a Switch. Do you know who they are? Do you know why specifically they actually want to have it on there? Or is it just, they want it, I'll deliver it, great.
I don't know. I think Colors Colors is available on smartphones, but it never really took off in the same way as it did, initially for the homebrew, but then primarily for the 3DS. I think 95% of all our users are on the 3DS. So there's a huge demographics there that had their first digital art experience on the 3DS and now are grown up and they probably have a Switch. So a lot of those are the ones that are going to be the early adopters, the first people who are going to use this. But I also think it's one of the things that really surprised me when I announced Colors Live for the Switch was how many of the community came back and basically said, "Oh, you're making it for the Switch. I loved it for the 3DS. It was my first digital art experience." And that that gave me this kind of warm feeling. That's super cool to introduce someone to a new creative outlet, and that's what I'm hoping to do with the Switch as well. There isn't really any painting app or game on the Switch right now, so I want to be that one. I want to make that available to the millions and millions of users of people who have a Nintendo Switch out there, and give them that opportunity. And with the pen, it's actually a really good product. It's comparable to a good tablet with a Pressuresensitive stylus.
It's amazing to see the 4 million paintings that have been uploaded in the Colors Gallery community, and I think that is such a. I mean, it must be weird for you thinking back to that, those early days when you thought, "Hey, I think I'll do this as a little gift," and then suddenly it becomes, the 10th highest rated 3DS title, and as well as that, all these millions of people start uploading stuff. And I'm interested as well because as someone who is not, I'm an artistic in musical ways and that side of it, but when it comes to art, I'm terrible. But I would really enjoy this kind of thing. And is this the kind of thing that me, as being a non-artist, someone who is, no one else wants to see my paintings, but I think I would enjoy it. Am I the right person to have a go?
I really hope so. That's one of the things that I do want to, and I hear you. And again, I'm not an artist as well, and I started where you feel that you are. There should be a simple way to get into this. It's really important to me that it's a very approachable and not intimidating process to start this thing up and try stuff out. It should be fun, and there's a lot of ideas in there just to make it more fun. The whole playback thing, so you can watch your painting process for all those paintings in the gallery and stuff. That's a fun feature. It doesn't really serve any purpose to make you a better artist. Well, you can learn from them, but other than that. So yes, I really hope so. Creativity is very subjective. It's some people enjoy it, some people don't, and in different things. But one thing in particular that I'm hoping to take to the next level, if I can say that sounds very marketing speak, is sort of a gamification thing that I'm doing with this called Colors Quest. So. I'm a game designer by heart. I make video games for a living normally. When I'm not doing colors, which is more of an app thing, I make video games. So I've always wanted to bring that into Colors in some way. How do you make a game out of something purely creative? And that's been something that's been really hard to solve. I played around with that idea ever since I started working with Colors, doing small mini game modes and stuff like that. But I never really found a way to do that. But this time around, I'm actually gonna ship with a game mode in Colors called Colors Quest, which basically is inspired by the methodology that a lot of aspiring and professional digital painters do, which is basically paint something every day, like 30 minutes every day you paint something. So in this game mode you're introduced with there's a map, and on the map there are a bunch of challenges. Each challenge has a theme. It could be like fall from heaven, or dead end, or something that gets your imagination going, and you get to paint something with that theme. And it doesn't have to be good. You can be a professional artist and paint something beautiful, but you can paint scribbles, and that's fine. Because once you're done, you sort of submit this to a pool of paintings, and it goes through this kind of crowdsource algorithm, and out comes sort of some sort of feedback on how well you did compared to how you usually do. So you're not competing with anyone else. You're just competing with yourself. Do I get better from day to day? And the game tries to reward you from getting better from day to day. And the whole idea is that anyone should be like get this kind of positive reinforcement. They get like inspiration for what they should paint, but they also get some sort of feedback like, oh, you did extra good today. You know, I'm gonna unlock this extra challenge for you, or you get closer to the end of the campaign. There's a sort of narrative layer on top of that. Anyway, it's very much an experiment, but it's something I'm really excited about because I haven't really seen anyone try to tackle that, to make a game out of something purely creative.
Yeah, I must say, like, as somebody, you know, I do like a bit of drawing, and, you know, I imagine for some people it might be just like, oh, I've got my pen and paper, but seeing what you've been doing with Colors Quest, it's really kind of, it's a whole new experience you're offering there. So I imagine that's going to be very exciting. So how I guess, how kind of do you quantify, like, what people like?
How does it work?
Yeah, the science.
The science. Yeah, and that's the trick, right? Like, I have this anecdote from Animal Crossing, where I played like the old Animal Crossing back in the days, and there was this portion of it where you could submit your house, your interior decoration to a judge, and every month the score from your how well you decorated your place came back. And I played it, and I tried to figure out what influenced that score. Like, what do I do to win this kind of game mode? And it just didn't really work for me. It felt very random, and I lost interest because, like, yeah, I tried to break it. So the point is that it's really hard to quantify, as you say, sort of the creative process. How do you do that? What I have that's different is that I have this amazing community of people. I have a lot of users. So what's actually happened under the hood is that once you finish your painting, you get to see a bunch of other paintings in a specific theme. You get to rate them, and I build up this kind of information about how well your painting stacks up against all the other paintings in the same challenge. And then I can just see how you are doing compared to how you did before. I'm not interested if you're the best in the world in something. That's not interesting for you as a creative person trying to improve. But I can sort of see how you're doing from day to day, which is much more interesting, I think. And that's why you have to, like, it works well together with this idea of paint something new every day, because it takes some time to get this kind of thing into the system and get enough people to view it and help score it for you to come back the next day. And once you get back, you get to see your painting, you get to see another paint. Like, it's not completely done yet, but the idea is you get to see 3 paintings, and the other 2 paintings are sort of on the same skill level as you, and you can see what you like. If you just achieve this much, you would get the top score. You can see the other paintings how much better you need to do to sort of get the full score of the challenge.
That's cool. It's a really clever concept, and a really great idea, because it gives people, rather than looking at all these amazing top level paintings, which is pretty much every painting I would be looking at and thinking I'll never achieve that. It gives you a much more tangible, much closer to what you're achieving kind of goal, which is really, really cool. Just want to ask you 2 final questions, Jens. First of all, stretch goals, because I've spoken to people who have been involved in Kickstarters before, and the stretch goals, it's like a double-edged thing, because it's amazing because you're hitting all these targets, but every time you hit a new target, there's another thing you've got to include. Now, I'm looking at your stretch goals, and I think doing my conversion, my conversion's right, you're very close to the $125 one, the select and move tool. Am I right in saying that's your next one?
That's correct.
So you have 4 days to go. You want to hit that, of course you do. How do you feel when you get past a stretch goal? Obviously, that must feel good, but do you then go, "But I got to do that"?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I think I wrote about it in the first couple of updates when I talked about stretch goals in general. I'm not promising to include the stretch goals in the initial version of Colors Live. I really want to get it out there as soon as possible, as soon as I can get the pen shipped in this weird world we are living in right now.
Yeah.
I want to get it out there, and the stretch goals, I make it clear that I will push them out as updates, and because I said that up front, it's not as scary anymore. It doesn't feel like, oh shit, I need to fix this before I can ship it. Now it's part of what I do promise is that the game will live longer in terms of the update cycle and everything. And it will probably live even longer than that. We'll see how the actual launch goes. But if the Kickstarter is animatic, it's gonna do well. And that means I can keep adding stuff, I can keep improving it, and add even more features than we've seen in the stretch goals.
Yeah, great. Well, listen, before we do finish up, of course, we want people to head to your Kickstarter and to back the project before it finishes. From time of recording, 4 days to go. So by the time people hear, there's probably 3 days to go, I would think. So where do they go? What do you want them to do? And how do people keep up to date with what's happening?
I would love to see more people come join us at Discord. That's where you can do feature requests. You can chat with me and the rest of the team. And yeah, it's gonna be a busy week.